Hi, I'm your host Vasco Duarte. Welcome to the Scrum Master Toolbox podcast, where we share tips and tricks from Scrum Masters around the world. Every day, we bring you inspiring answers to important questions that all Scrum Masters face day after day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to our Wednesday, the Leading Change episode this week with Mariana Trigo. Hi, Mariana. Welcome back.
Hello, Vasco. Hello.
So let's dive into change. As Scrum Masters, we're, of course, knee-deep in change all the time. It can be a personal change and a team-level change or even an organizational transformation that is going on. And we want to explore that story, the story that you have to share with us, because we want to learn the tools, the tips, the tricks, the techniques you learned back then that you still apply today. So tell us that story, Mariana.
Okay, this is probably one of the most special stories I had in my career, I believe. And one of those that you can only understand what really happened when you look back several years after. One of the most different environments I've worked, it was a startup. It's very different from working in a normal company because things happen really fast, especially when you are growing and everything is constantly changing. So when you are with a team, you cannot control a lot of variables. For example, my reality back then was I was constantly losing people from my team. We were constantly changing the project's prioritization that we were working on. So basically, all of those pillars that you try to put as not constantly changing were changing on a weekly, maybe sometimes daily basis. So I was feeling I could not really do my job as a Scrum Master. I could not apply a Scrum cycle. I could not apply a framework. I could not be working with a 5-people team, constantly delivering every 2 weeks because today I know what to deliver, but tomorrow we don't know anymore. So we really needed to make people understand why were we needing this process? Why did we need to plan things and to be a little more calm in constantly changing things? Because when you are constantly changing, you don't deliver. So what we did was with our CTO, that was the one feeling the most pain because he was very connected to engineering teams. So he understood our pain, was trying to come up with a process, including the Scrum part, of course, for engineering, but a process that would help everyone in the company, several departments. So if we have a new project coming up, we will need to speak with the design team to make the mock-ups. We will need to speak with the product team to get the requirements. But at the same time, we also need to speak with compliance, with security, to make sure they have the licenses that we need in time, because developers will be working on the code and then we cannot launch. So it's a huge demotivating factor. So what we started doing was we organized the process like a delivery plan from scratch. What will be the several phases, the planning phase, who will we include, what will that session be, who will be there to help us define the plan, to see if it's possible during that timeline and so on. We explained also the engineering team process, the Scrum part, what was the planning, the retrospectives. Some of the people adopted some of our strategies.
You mean outside the engineering, some people adopted some Scrum strategies?
Yes, exactly. Because we really need to sell this process because we needed people to buy it, to understand the benefits. And so with these small strategies that were really helping us, if they had similar problems in their teams, they would adopt those small steps like the retrospectives. So we had a big process, let's say. The company had, I would say, maybe 100, 120 people back then. But we didn't want to show this process like in an all hands for everyone. Look, we think we need this. This is a process. Let's follow. So we couldn't do that. So what we did was we divided the whole company into 10 people groups. So we did like 11, 12 presentations, around 1 hour, an hour and a half, where we would speak about, look, we have these problems. We are constantly changing. This is not good for us. And it's probably not good for you. And the people would go like, yeah, it's very tiring. I don't know where to turn to. Priorities are always changing. So listen to their pains and be their friends by, okay, I feel you. I know the pain that you are feeling because I feel it too. And then show them the process. Look, we thought about maybe we could do some delivery plans. In the beginning, we will have like a kickoff meeting of the project so that everyone will understand what we are building. What do you think? We were planning about including one person from each department and so on. So you would be included in an early stage. which was also a big pain for people. They were being included only like in the later part of the projects. So they started understanding the benefits, understanding why are we doing this, and buying the process. And we were taking their suggestions also, because sometimes they had small details that they really needed. So let's add that to the process, or let's change something, some parts of the process in order to meet your expectations, meet your needs. And that was the way we found for the process to work for everyone in the company. So small groups, people were able to make questions, really understand the benefits, really to share their pains. And for us, it was the way we found out on how to make people buy a huge process inside a constantly changing environments
because one of the things that comes to me is like what you described could be even a product management process, right? Like listen to the user's pain, understand their context, and then present something to them that addresses specifically those topics. Now, because you were working on other topics, so the engineering pains and struggles, that the process would help elsewhere. But when you present it to these 10 people groups, as you said, you are presenting it to them with their language, right? You said, we shared our pains, we heard their pains, right? I would even say, make sure you spend a lot more time listening to their pains than yours, obviously, because then when you introduce the process, you can introduce it in the context of their needs.
Exactly. It's how we were speaking about the other day when we spoke about the book, right? You need to adapt your speech and the way you listen to their pains in order to make sure the output is what you want. So I could not go there just speak about, look, we really need this. This can't continue anymore. We need you to do this. That would be even worse.
It also reminds me the problem of product adoption, right? Like when you think about developing a new process or restructuring the company or whatever change is happening. When you think about it from a product perspective, right? In a product, you start by first understanding the customer, the needs that they have, their context, what are they doing right now. And it sounds to me that you were maybe implicitly applying a lot of the stuff we need to do in order to develop software anyway, right? Like understand the customer's problems, make sure that they share them with you. And then when you present the product to them, you present them with their words, with their language.
That's exactly what happened. Yeah, we went to our customers to ask them, like, what do you need? And how can we build something that works for you, that will be useful for you, that will make your daily work better, easier, simpler. Yes.
Yeah. And of course, the surprise, or not so much, I guess, is that when you ask people, how can we help you? They tend to tell you. Right?
Sometimes we know it's not going well, but you are not sure of what to do or what to change. And the worst part is when you are really tired because you are trying and nothing changes, or your upper management or your investors are constantly pulling the rug out of you. So it depends a lot on the stage that you are. And that's also a part of our work, right? Just if the person is not in that mood, in a productive or ideas or creative mood, you need to help them get there. Maybe calming them down, maybe mentoring also, coaching a little bit, or trying to put them in a more mindfulness.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where our skills as facilitators come in, right? To be able to shift the mode of operation, right? Like we were talking about on Tuesday, to go from being kind of negative that team was, right? And transforming that into something powerful. Like, okay, let's turn that negativity into something different. Let's talk about maybe, hobbies and whatever, and try to build a communication or build a conversation around what we want to generate rather than what we are constantly complaining about.
Yeah, it's magical how you can change the mood of a person just by switching the subject a little bit.
Important, but also a responsibility that we need to take seriously as Scrum Masters. It was a great story. Thank you for sharing that with us, Mariana.
Of course, thank you.
Leading change is one of the core skills we must acquire, but it is only one of the steps towards our success as Scrum Masters. Tomorrow, on Success Thursday, we will talk about how to define success for the Scrum Master role. We'll cover tips on how to measure your way to that position, and most importantly, how to develop that focus on continuous improvement that is as important for Scrum Masters as it is for teams. See you tomorrow. We really hope you liked our show. And if you did, why not rate this podcast on Stitcher or iTunes? share this podcast and let other Scrum Masters know about this valuable resource for their work. Remember that sharing is caring.